French people, native speakers, who've spoken French since birth, do this exact same thing every single day. Stay with me and you will have the exact same toolkit every French person uses when our brain freezes. And you will never feel bad about getting stuck ever again. Bonjour, je suis Géraldine et bienvenue sur Comme une Française. You've probably never seen a French textbook that includes someone stuck for words in a conversation. You've never had a French teacher say, and here is how French people mangle their sentences. The written dialogues were smooth and polished, and the actors in movies speak clearly with a nice flow. So without realizing it, you started to believe that's how French is supposed to sound. That's a lie. You see, I'm French, I've spoken French my entire life, and I hesitate constantly. When I'm tired, I forget words. When I'm explaining something complicated, I pause. When someone asks me an unexpected question, I need a moment. And that's okay. This is just how human brain works. The only difference between me and a learner who freezes and starts panicking is that I have phrases ready. I have sounds I can make. I have ways to fill the silence while my brain catches up. You know, just like you do in English. And that's what being fluent sounds like. It's not about making flawless speeches or never hesitating. No, it's about hesitating naturally in French. Your mouth keeps moving, you don't panic, and you keep the connection alive. And you know what? After this lesson, you will have that skill. Don't take my word for it, okay? I want to show you something. This is Aurel San, one of the most successful French artists of his generation. Sold out tours, millions of albums, and now a movie. He doesn't struggle with speaking French, of course. Now, watch this clip. Don't try too hard to understand the words, but pay attention to what happens.
En fait, c'est l'histoire d'un personnage qui fuit. Ouais. Donc, du coup, on a construit les démons autour de la fuite. Ouais. Il y a le démon des addictions. Ça parle de...
Did you catch it? 3 false starts. 2 E. One sentence that just trails off. He's explaining his own project, something that he knows inside out, and he's still searching for words. Here's another one.
Mais globalement, c'est un film assez, assez grand public où en fait on se divertit quoi.
Comment dire? Right there, he literally said how to say in the middle of describing his own film, plus 2 E and an en fait thrown in. Once more.
Et du coup, ouais, c'est un peu aussi le rapport de quelqu'un qui veut vivre dans un autre pays, mais qui finalement va vite déchanter aussi par rapport à ça.
Another comment dire. A way to buy time, a restart, a thought that changes direction mid-sentence. This is a native speaker, a professional songwriter, someone who does interviews constantly. And he's doing exactly what you do. Searching for words, buying time, figuring it out as he goes. The difference? He doesn't panic. He doesn't apologize. He just keeps talking. And nobody notices because this is a normal, relaxed conversation. This is how real French sounds. Let's quickly talk about what's really going on when you freeze. Most of the time, it's simple. You need a word, you can't find it, and you stop. That's what the rest of this lesson is about. I'm going to give you tools to keep going when that happens. But often something else is going on, like the perfectionist freeze. You know a word that would work. You want to say, I'm excited about the trip, but you can't remember if it's excité or enthousiaste. And while you're debating in your head, 10 seconds pass. Here the solution is à peu près. Good enough French. Keep it simple. Say something. Je suis contente pour le voyage. Done. It's not the best sentence, but you did achieve your goal. Communication. just move on. The constructor freeze is close to that. You try to build the entire sentence in your head before opening your mouth. Subject, verb, object, agreement, tense. You're checking everything. By the time it's ready, the moment is gone. The solution is start talking before you know how the sentence ends. Native speakers do this constantly. We figure it out as we go. And I'm going to give you tools to help when you hit a wall mid-sentence. The panic freeze. This one's not really about language. You freeze because you're afraid of freezing. The anxiety shuts everything down. Again, the best solution is to simply relax and speak anyway. But I know that's very easy to say. You can also practice un filet de sécurité. That's a safety net, un filet de sécurité. Knowing that even if you blank completely, you have ways to keep going. And that's what this lesson is really about. Think about the last time you froze in French. Was it because you really didn't know any word that would fit? Was it because the word you had wasn't good enough? Were you trying to get everything right before speaking? Or did you simply get in your head and start worrying about worrying too much? Different problems need different solutions, but all of them get better when you have reliable tools to fall back on. Now, let's build those tools. When you need half a second to think, just a tiny pause, you can use what I call basic fillers. That's the basic okay, You heard Aurel San use it 5 times in 30 seconds, and you've probably heard it 1,000 times in French movies. It's the most natural sound in the language, and we all use it when we're looking for words. Ben. Ben is like well in English. It's very casual, very common. You can stretch it if you need more time. Ben. Alors is a bit more elegant. It means so, and you can make it as long as you want to gather your thoughts while technically not breaking your sentence, or repeat it several times. Alors. Finally, you can even add a quick tu vois for you see. It's a nice way to invite your friend in your sentence. You can use any of these basic filler words on its own, and it will buy you a few seconds to think. You can also use them like French people do by combining them. Stack them together to buy even more time. Like...
Alors,
Alors, ben voilà, tout est là, tu vois.
This is really how every French person speaks when we're thinking out loud. That's what you will hear constantly in French interviews or podcasts or documentary. So let's practice together now. Yes, say these out loud. Your mouth needs to learn them, not just your eyes and your ears. Repeat after me. Again, stretch it a little bit. Now, ben, longer, ben. Okay. Now, alors. Again, say it with me and really stretch it. Alors. Now, layer them together and repeat after me. Alors, ben, tu vois? Ben, tu vois? Ben, tu vois? And even, ben, alors. Ben, alors. Good. And now these sounds are yours. Use them without shame. Every French person does. That's how we all hesitate in French. sometimes you need more time than what a basic filler can buy you. For instance, when someone just asked you a real question and you need some time to think about your answer and clarify what you think. That's when you use complete sentences for thinking. Une phrase pour réfléchir. Une phrase pour réfléchir. Things like, ah, bonne question. For good question. Ah, bonne question.
Bonne question.
This one buys you time and makes the other person feel smart. They asked something worth thinking about. You signal that you heard them and that you're thinking about the answer. Repeat after me. Bonne question. Bonne question. Bonne question. You know, what if the question is genuinely difficult? You know, politics, relationships, why you absolutely need one more trip to France this year. That's when you say, c'est compliqué. It's complicated. C'est compliqué. You're announcing that a nuanced answer is coming, which gives you time to figure out what that answer actually is. Try it. C'est compliqué. Repeat after me. C'est compliqué. C'est compliqué. C'est compliqué. Now, you can add some fillers. Ah c'est compliqué, tu vois. You see how they work together? Sometimes you just need to search for the right word and you can just say that directly. Comment dire? How to say? Comment dire? With this one, you're simply saying what you're thinking. You're looking for the correct word. French people say it too, as you've heard from the interview earlier. Try it yourself. Comment dire? Comment dire? Comment dire? And if you need a real time, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, you can ask for it directly. Attends, laisse-moi réfléchir. Wait, let me think. Attends, laisse-moi réfléchir. People will give you that time. You asked politely. You're taking the question seriously. With vous, it becomes attendez, laissez-moi réfléchir.
Attends, laisse-moi réfléchir.
Now, let's put it together. Imagine someone asks you something tricky. You can chain these. Ah, bonne question. Alors, comment dire? C'est compliqué, tu vois. Now, say it with me and let's see how much time it gives you. Ah, bonne question. Alors, comment dire? C'est compliqué, tu vois. See, you can use all this time to think about your next phrase and you sounded thoughtful doing it. Here is the thing about everything I just taught you. You might have seen it already. Yeah, maybe not in school, but when learning French, you might have heard about and ben and alors before. But knowing isn't the same thing as doing. Recognition isn't the same as reflex. When you're stressed, when you're in a real conversation, your brain doesn't have time to think, what was that filler word I learned? It just needs to happen. So let's train that reflex. I'm going to ask you questions in French. You have 2 seconds to start responding. Not to give a complete answer, just to start your answer. Your goal is to use a filler or a thinking phrase to begin, then figure out the rest. Ready? Qu'est-ce que t'as fait ce week-end? Go, start talking, yeah? Did you start? Good. The content doesn't matter. What matters is that you started, even if you didn't have the full answer ready. You could have said, for instance, alors, ce week-end, j'ai... For the next questions, I will give you 4 seconds to start talking after I ask, okay? Then I will give you one possible answer. It's far from the only possible answer, of course, but it will give you an idea of what you could use, okay? Next one. C'est quoi ton film préféré? Go. Ah, bonne question. Mon film préféré, tu vois, c'est... Another question. Tu penses quoi des fromages français? Go. Ben, c'est compliqué, tu vois. You see what's happening? You're training your mouth to move before your brain has the answer. You're filling the space while you think. Let's do one more. Qu'est-ce que tu vas apprendre en français après? Go. Alors, pourquoi j'apprends le français? Fantastic. This is the practice that actually changes things. Beyond studying lists or reading about fillers, you need to be actually using them out loud, under mild pressure. Do this in your car, in the shower, walking the dog. Ask yourself random questions in French and force yourself to start answering within 2 seconds using these tools. But I have to say, the number one challenge when learning French is not knowing what you should be practicing next. Without a clear structure, you keep studying random things and wondering why conversations still feel so hard. That's why I created the weekly practice plan. With this free resource, you will get a clear assessment of your current level and specific exercises tailored to your needs. You will find exactly what to practice each day of the week, how to overcome common obstacles, and a simple method to track your improvement. Join over 30,000 French learners who have already downloaded this free resource. Click the link in the description and start your structured French practice today. Okay, now let's talk about the restating technique. Restating is something you probably do naturally in English already. When someone asks you a question, instead of answering immediately, you restate the important part of the question first. This way you buy time and you make sure you understood correctly, and it makes you sound more engaged. For instance, if someone asks, "Qu'est-ce que tu penses de la politique française?" What do you think about French politics? You don't have the answer right away. It's a big question and you might need some time to gather your thoughts, especially in a second language. Of course, you can use the filler words and the thinking phrases we've just seen. Yes, but you can also start with something like la politique française. Ce que j'en pense, French politics, what I think about it. Well, this sounds really conversational, especially starting with this long You sound like someone who takes the question seriously and they want to listen to what you have to say next. Try it for yourself. Again, let me ask you some questions and then start your answer right away after each one. This time, use the restating technique first and maybe add some fillers from before. Okay? Here it is. C'est quoi ton endroit préféré en France? C'est quoi ton plus beau souvenir de l'année dernière? C'est quoi le dernier livre que tu as adoré? All right, time for our next level. There is a moment when buying time stops working. You said you've said comment dire, you've stalled for 5 seconds, and the word still isn't there. Yes, je l'ai sur le bout de la langue. I have it on the tip of my tongue. Je l'ai sur le bout de la langue. But at some point, you have to stop waiting for it and work around it. That's when you use placeholder words. The most famous one is le truc, the thing. Le truc. When you don't have the word or you don't know what it's called, you simply say le truc and everybody understands. It's relaxed and conversational.
C'est quoi le truc bleu qu'elles ont autour du cou?
We also use le machin or le bidule for the same thing. Like, j'ai perdu le bidule là. I lost the thingy there. Or, c'est quoi ce machin sur la table? What's that thingy on the table? C'est quoi ce machin sur la table?
On prépare le mariage. Tout, les faire parler, les trucs, machin.
But really, you just have to remember le truc. Everybody uses it. It can replace any noun or object or concept in French, and it should be your go-to placeholder word for when you phrase. Repeat after me. Le truc. Le truc. C'est quoi le truc? C'est quoi le truc? C'est tout un truc. C'est tout un truc. Faut mettre le truc dans le machin là. Faut mettre le truc dans le machin là. Now, sometimes le truc isn't specific enough. The person looks at you blankly, and that's when you add a little description. What is it for? Le truc pour ouvrir les bouteilles. Le truc pour ouvrir les bouteilles. And now they hand you le tire-bouchon. Le tire-bouchon. Le truc contre la pluie. Le truc contre la pluie. That's un parapluie. Un parapluie. Le truc qui sert à couper. Le truc qui sert à couper. That's un couteau. Un couteau. You don't need the exact word. You just need enough words to point at the idea. And often the other person will fill in the word for you, which means you have just learned it. Of course, sometimes you might need another kind of placeholder. For people, for example, we would rather say le gars for the guy, le gars, or la dame for the lady, la dame. A place would be l'endroit, l'endroit, the place, l'endroit. You will find more in the written version of this lesson over at my website. There is a link below this video. The point is, you want to keep the conversation moving, even if you don't have quite the right word. You can always use a placeholder if you need to. The word didn't come, so what? You worked around it. That's fluency. Okay, so you can buy time, you can use placeholders, you can describe your way around any missing word, but now I want to show you something else, something that French people do with these little words that has nothing to do with phrasing. Fillers aren't just for buying time. In French, there are tools for navigating social situations. The way you hesitate sends a signal. It can be used for softening disagreement. Someone says something you disagree with. In English, you might say, well, I don't know about that. The well softens the blow. French has the same thing. Things like ouais or enfin. This is incredibly useful and it's everywhere in conversation. Ouais for yeah, you're sort of agreeing. Enfin, on the other hand, actually you're about to qualify or contradict. It's polite disagreement. Like, Paris, c'est la plus belle ville du monde. Ouais, enfin, ça dépend de ce qu'on cherche, non? You didn't say you're wrong. You said, well, it depends. That's much smoother.
Ouais, enfin, vaguement.
Or we can use fillers for preparing someone for something delicate. When you're about to say something honest that might be hard to hear, you signal it. For instance, with ben, c'est-à-dire que, well, that is to say. This introduces a clarification or a gentle correction. Tu viens à la fête ce soir? Ben, c'est-à-dire que j'ai beaucoup de travail en ce moment. The answer doesn't say no directly, but it explains why it's a no. You can also use fillers for showing that you're thinking seriously, with words like écoute or écouter that mean listen. This signals that what you're about to say is considered. You've thought about it, it's important. Like, alors, écoute, tu vois, je comprends ce que tu dis, mais... It's a way of showing respect for the question while preparing to give a real answer.
Bon, alors écoute...
These are just a few examples of fillers as social tools. These are advanced moves. But as you get comfortable with the basics, start listening for these nuances. Start noticing how French people use small words to navigate socially. It's a whole layer of communication that textbooks never teach. Let me show you how this all sounds in a real conversation. Imagine you're trying to say, yesterday I went to that new bakery on the corner and bought the almond croissant thing, but they were out of baguette. But you don't know bakery, you forgot corner, and almond just disappeared from your brain. Here's what to do. Hier, je suis allée au... Tu sais, le truc où on achète le pain, le nouveau là, c'est dans la rue. Au bout de la rue. Et j'ai acheté le croissant avec les trucs blancs là, les machins, tu vois, les petites choses qu'on met sur les gâteaux. Et ils avaient plus de baguettes. Messy? Yes. Understood? Completely. That's conversation. That's real French. Now, let's try a more complex scenario. Imagine someone asks your opinion on something controversial. Tu penses quoi du télétravail? What do you think about work from home? Tu penses quoi du télétravail? And you have complicated feelings. You're not sure about how to say it all. Here is how you might navigate. Ah, bonne question. Alors, le télétravail, c'est compliqué, tu vois. C'est-à-dire que d'un côté, c'est bien pour, la flexibilité, quoi. Mais en même temps, c'est pas toujours facile pour le truc social, là, avec les collègues. Donc, ça dépend, je dirais. Did you catch everything in there? Ah, bonne question. Here I bought time and I flattered them. Alors is a filler. C'est compliqué, signaled nuance. A nuance is coming here. I need time to think. Tu vois? Invited them in. C'est-à-dire que you are prepared to explain. Enfin, that's a mid-thought hesitation. With comment dire, you're searching for words. Quoi that I put at the end is a little ending tag. It's very casual French. Ouais, enfin, here you have a soft pivot to counterpoint. Le truc social, that's a placeholder for social dynamics or whatever word you couldn't find. Donc, you're wrapping up with uncertainty. Je dirais, I would say, here you're softening your opinion. That's maybe 30 seconds of speaking, full of hesitation, full of fillers, and completely natural. I want to leave you with an image. French conversation is like a dance. It's a collaboration. When you hesitate, you're not falling. You're inviting the other person to help. You're creating space for them to fill in a word, to nod encouragingly, to show they're following. French people expect hesitations. They're part of the rhythm. When you speak too perfectly, too smoothly, it can actually feel strange, like you've memorized something. The the ben, the tu vois, make you sound human. They make you sound real, like you're actually thinking and part of the conversation. So give yourself permission. Permission to hesitate. Permission to search for words. Permission to use le truc and le machin and describe things instead of naming them. Permission to be imperfect. Because imperfect, hesitant, searching for words French is real everyday French. And that's what you want to learn. So here is what I want you to do this week. Day 1 and 2, concentrate on basic fillers. Every time you're alone, in your car, cooking, showering, narrate what you're doing in French. When you don't know a word, don't stop. Say and keep going. Say le truc and keep going. Build the habit of continuous speech. Day 3 and 4, you can concentrate on reaction training. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Ask yourself random questions in French. Answer them, starting within 2 seconds, using a thinking phrase. Ah, bonne question. C'est compliqué. Comment dire? Train the reflex. Day 5 and 6, concentrate on describing. Pick 10 random objects around your house. Describe each one in French without using its name. What's it for? What's it like? Could someone guess what you mean? Day 7 is about real conversation. If you have any opportunity to speak French this week with a tutor, a language partner, in a shop, use at least one filler and one placeholder deliberately. Notice how it feels. Notice that nobody cares. Notice that you kept talking. And then I will see you next week. Don't worry if it feels like too much hesitation sometimes. The more you're ready to use filler words, the more you allow yourself to speak. And the more you speak, the more confidence you get. You will stop freezing, you will have the safety net, the tools you need to be more relaxed when speaking. And then you won't need as many filler words at all. So practice getting stuck on purpose. Forget a word deliberately. Use le truc. Describe it. Pause intentionally. Say comment dire. Continue. Make it a game. Practice the recovery until it's automatic. Because one day, probably sooner than you think, you will be mid-conversation, your brain will blank on a word, and without even thinking, you will say, tu sais, le machin là, c'est pour... And you will keep going. And you won't even notice you did it, because that's just how you speak French now. And if you want more techniques like this delivered to your inbox every week, grab my free weekly practice plan. The link is in the description below. You've got this. À très vite.